Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. I know people are joining from different parts of the world. So thank you so much for the generous introduction. And I will be talking about obviously the today's international webinar and why all the expert panelists have gathered here. Just let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So right, my screen is still not visible.
It's visible to us, ma'am.
It's visible, ma'am.
Okay, all right then. So we know that the speakers here will be talking about the regulatory variations in PV, a single goal towards patient safety. We know that as we roll out the COVID vaccinations around the world, patient safety has become a top priority. What's the reason? Why is it so? I mean, patient safety is not new. We have been talking about pharmacovigilance, since decades. And even in India, since the last 2 decades, a lot of work has happened in pharmacovigilance and patient safety. Then why it becomes all the more important now with the COVID scenario? It is because, for the first time in India, we are using terms like emergency use authorization, though a very common term and a known term, as far as US FDA is concerned, or EMA is concerned, the European Medicines Agency. But when we talk about the Indian subset, or maybe, a lot of countries, it is still a new term. So what is this emergency use authorization? As per the US FDA, emergency use authorization allows FDA to help strengthen the nation's public health protections against CBRN threats. So CBRN are the chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, as well as the emerging infectious diseases by facilitating the availability and the use of medical countermeasures needed during public health emergencies. And under Section 564 of the Federal Food, Drug and Cosmetic Act, the FDA Commissioner may allow unapproved medical products or unapproved uses of already approved medical products to be used in an emergency to diagnose, treat, or prevent serious or life-threatening diseases or conditions caused by these CBRN threat agents when there are no adequate, approved, or available alternatives. And as far as the drug and biological products is concerned, it was, on February 4, 2020, the HHS secretary determined that there is a public health emergency that has a significant potential to affect the national security or the health and security of the United States citizens living abroad, and that involves the virus that caused COVID-19. On the basis of this determination, the Secretary then declared that circumstances exist justifying the authorization of emergency use of drugs and biological products during the COVID-19 pandemic, pursuant to Section 564 of the FTNC Act, effective March 27, 2020. And if you see this table, I will quickly show you the last 10 approved vaccines, biologicals, under the emergency use authorization. So the last one to be approved, which was on December 18th, was the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. Before that, on 11th of December 2020, it was the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, etc. Right? So this way we can see the
sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Your slides are not moving.
Okay, can you see them now?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. You can make it slideshow.
Yeah, so yeah, that is what I was doing. Now is it visible? The table?
No. Slideshow mode, you can make it.
Wait, it was actually on a slideshow. Let me do it again. Is it visible
बता
now?
दीजिए।
Yes, but it's not slideshow.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, ma'am. You go.
So what is important to highlight is, since this terminology is new for most of the countries around the world, including India, it is going to be a learning as we go for most of the nations and all the departments which are involved in patient safety. If we talk about vaccine clinical trials, we see typically that in phase 1, it is the safety of the vaccine which is assessed in tens of patients, so anywhere but less than 100. In phase 2 vaccine trials, the safety and immunogenicity is tested in hundreds of patients. In phase 3, the number goes up in thousands of patients, where it is not just about safety, efficacy, but also about the immunogenicity. And after this, we get the regulatory approval after a thorough review. But this time we know that since this was a pandemic, we had no time in our hands. There were modifications done to different clinical trial protocols for COVID-19 vaccines. The regulators also supported, they became a lot more flexible in terms of accepting that if we are doing phase 2 and 3 trials together. And as a result, in less than a year, there were vaccines which started coming out. And the top one which comes to our mind are the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines, the Moderna, Pfizer, the Gamaleya vaccine or the Sputnik by Russia. And these were based on different kind of either viral vectors or a mRNA technology, or a modified or a weakened virus technology, etc. But then what is important to understand is, in all this rush to control the pandemic, to bring out vaccines and different vaccine options, there is a race which started between countries. We know that all the countries have been trying to procure vaccines to safeguard their own citizens. And I mean, very proudly, I can say that India, was the #1 country which procured the maximum number of vaccine doses by giving pre-orders. Right? But yes, there are others. Since the population is huge, we are trying to get other vaccine options as well. And it was on January 16th that the vaccination program started, but the actual approval came on January 1 and 2, when the Central Drug Standard Control Organization gave approval to Bharat Biotech's Covaxin and Serum Institute's Covishield. Covishield has an efficacy of 70.42, and Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, though not yet on the horizon as of now in India, have shown an efficacy of 95%. And in phase 1 in India, we are planning to inoculate 30 crore people in the first phase, including the healthcare workers, the doctors, nurses, technicians, the sanitation workers, the corona frontline workers like army people, police, etc. And also people who are above the age of 50 years and those with comorbidities. Indeed, a very proud moment. Not just that, there were reports, a couple of days back that again, India has broken another record by vaccinating more than 4 million people in less than 18 days, right? But at the same time, we need to understand that when trials are not complete, when the data are not out, what we do statistically in those is we try to extrapolate, right? When we are trying to extrapolate and try to apply those results to a wider population, things may go haywire, right? As very ironically, as has been stated here in this example, that this lady who got married, and this person who's a statistician is talking about extrapolation, that if you have married one person yesterday, by the end of the month, there'll be 4 dozen husbands, right? So that was on the lighter side. But we know that extrapolation is the use of a regression line for prediction far outside the domain of values of the explanatory variable x that we use to obtain the line or the curve. But such predictions are often not accurate. And that is why, though there was a pressure of time, there was a political pressure, We need to safeguard our population, but at the same time, we have to make sure that the extrapolation of clinical trials data is not causing any harm to our populations. And that is why I think it's time again to join the pharmacovigilance brigade and champion the cause of patient safety as we gather more and more data on COVID vaccines and medications around the world. We have to be prim and proper with all our SOPs, protocols, and processes. We have to be transparent because until unless science is credible, it has got no takers. The adverse event following immunization monitoring is going on in a very robust way in India. It is structured, and till date, more than 8,000 AEFI have been captured, which is just 0.18% of the total vaccinated population. Overall, 34 cases of hospitalization, which means severe ADR, has been reported, which is 0.0007% of the people immunized. If we talk about UK, there was an app which was used in which some 37% people experienced some kind of after effects, such as pain or swelling near the site of injection after their first dose of vaccination, rising to about 45,000 of the 10,000 who had received the 2 doses. And 14% had at least one whole body after effects, such as fever, aches, or chills within 7 days of the first dose, which rose to about 22% after the second dose. Right, but important to highlight is that, again, due to the pharmacovigilance practices and the robustness of it, we are able to modify our practices, whether it was about hydroxychloroquine or other things, or again changing the indication from remdesivir, until and unless we are collecting, evaluating, and projecting the data, we can go wrong with patient safety. And that is why the time is now, whether it requires changing, adopting, modifying, but we have to all work towards patient safety. And it's a pleasure to see the lineup of speakers today, who will be talking about the pharmacovigilance systems in their respective countries and how and what they are doing to make sure that their populations are safe. Thank you so much for this platform. It was wonderful being here. Thank you once again.